quiet on the set. Can we please have quiet on the set?
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to this month's edition of Renegade Recap. I, of course, am the Renegade, JJ Williams, joined, as always, by my dad's not always on wrestling cohort, and I'm assuming that's why you're rocking that shirt today, the West Coast Professor Jeff Meacham. And we're here, as we always do towards the end of the month, to kind of recap what I've covered over the past however many days and give you a glimpse as to what's to come here in the not so distant future. Before we get this ball rolling, how are we doing today, Jeff?
Well, I wore this. I figured, I didn't wear the dad's shirt. Did I wear it yesterday? No, I wore my John Cena shirt. That's right, because we did the John Cena show yesterday. And I'm not going to wear it next week on the 4th of July show because I have my USA shirt on. So we are all about getting the dad's logo out there because, damn, this is one of the favorite logos we ever had designed. I love the hell out of this shirt and this logo. So I'm on with my fellow dads co-hosts. Let's just go ahead and throw it out there. Plus, got to get the Kitty 11 there because they're still over India whooping that ass. So keep kicking the ass, girls. We'll hope for a kick-ass show. Let's see, this Saturday. Everything's happening Saturday. Money in the Bank, your review of Lightyear, which we'll talk about, and now the girls are going to be in Bangladesh, something in India. Somewhere over there in India, they're kicking that ass. I forgot the name. I'm sorry. But, it's good times. Good times across the multiverse, if you will.
Yes, the Jeff Meacham multiverse of media.
Yes, quite so. Oh, Lord.
So it was a fun month, though.
Yes.
We still have my double feature day tomorrow to officially close out the month, but that was kind of a surprise entry because I had one day and I'm doing movies with one sequel. So it was like, what to do?
We'll get there.
Think.
Thinking.
So, originally when I made the schedule, I didn't even have anything planned for that. I was just going to have that be a dark day.
We could do some recap that day, too, if we had to come up with such a freaking gem. So, it worked out.
Yeah.
Worked out for the best.
But
as you said multiple times yesterday, you digress, because we'll get to the end of the month when we actually get to the end of the show.
Yes.
It's
funny because I always used to use that, but then I felt like I stopped.
Right.
And then hearing Noah use it all the time, it kind of crept back into my vocabulary. So Noah Foster, I blame you for that.
And
buy the t-shirt.
Yeah, I was going to say, and we buy both of you for that now being an official thing on the Jeff Meacham Network Pro Wrestling Teaser website. So there you go. It is live, by the way. Both that and the James shirt are no longer out of stock. They are on sale and available to order. So
there we go.
Ever-growing Pro Wrestling Tees. And like I said, the whole rhetoric, you only get 4 at a time. They didn't know they were dealing with the great power of Jeff Meacham. Clearly. But that's okay.
Anyways, we kicked off this month on the 1st of the month. And we kind of did a little ha-ha because after doing an entire month of Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson movies,
yes,
we slid in a movie with one sequel where the sequel featured Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Yes. We will never escape The Rock.
It's one of those things where I could have done that during his month, but you don't want to cover the sequel without having covered the original first.
I mean, it makes sense to me.
Plus, at the end of the day, it's a horrible slight against Brendan Fraser. Brendan Fraser is one of those all-around likable, lovable goof of a guy.
Right so.
He's right up there with, Matthew Lillard.
Yes,
as far as that lovable goof of a guy.
Oh, absolutely. Always has been. I feel
so to cover Journey 2 without giving Brendan's original its proper respect,
yes,
I just felt was inadequate. So we started with a little ha-ha because we threw a Dwayne Johnson movie in there. And honestly, I do prefer the sequel. It's nothing against Brendan.
Right.
But it's just one of those situations. And it's something that happened quite a few times during this month with these movies. I had seen the sequel first.
Yes.
So I was already a fan of the sequel before I went back and watched the original. And not that the original is bad.
No.
Brendan Fraser, for as great as he is, doesn't captivate the screen the way Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson does.
No.
And especially when you factor in the juxtaposition and the banter between Rocky and Michael Caine.
Right.
Like, Brendan Fraser doesn't have somebody that he's really piggybacking off of like that.
No. And that's unfortunate for Brendan in this movie. And he does do that very well, piggybacking off other people. And throughout his filmography, he just, like you said, he wasn't blessed with this in Journey to the Center of the Earth, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Just didn't work out that way.
And then you also figure you had Luis Guzman in the sequel for Rocky to bounce off of too. So you had Rocky playing straight man to Luis Guzman, but Rocky playing funny man to Michael Caine.
Because that's what Dwayne do. He's very good at going back and forth between two. That's why he's the biggest star in the world right now.
Yeah.
To stuff like that.
So that was how we kicked off the month.
Yes.
But in between those, we kind of started something fresh over here on the channel, and we decided to cover the Kenobi series.
Okay, I guess we'll do that one next. Didn't have that. I wasn't prepared for that. They were just in the movies.
It's okay. You don't need the graphic. Every Thursday over the course of this month, we have covered the Disney Plus Obi-Wan Kenobi series. So it's sprinkled in throughout the entire thing, so you don't need to throw it up every time we get to it. But
I know.
in between those two movies, we had the kickoff where I did the first 2 episodes.
This is very true.
And that was so much fun, too, because this is one of those things that I had been waiting for since they announced it. I want to say at D23, back when they announced like Rogue One and Solo.
And that was a minute ago.
They announced Kenobi, and they had brought Ewan out on stage.
Yeah.
Because he was going to be back in the role of Obi-Wan.
Right.
God, that seems like it was a decade ago now. Probably not that long, but that's just what it feels like.
It wasn't too long after the announcement of the acquisition of Lucasfilm. That was 2012. So figure definitely within the last 10 years, but it just feels like it was at the very beginning of that 10. Because you remember, again, the term in Hollywood is development hell. This thing sat in not exactly development hell, but they were going to make a movie. And then Solo did what it did at the box office, which was nada. And it tanked so bad critically as well. They were like, okay, maybe we don't want to do this to Obi-Wan. So they just kind of sat there. And
Rogue One came out in 2016.
Okay, so it was right around there, yeah.
And Solo came out in 2018. So you figure the announcement had to have been made like 2014, 2015, so that they would have had time for principal photography, editing, computer effects, and everything that they would have needed to do for Rogue One, considering all the computer, Grand Moff Tarkin coming back from the dead.
Right.
And Carrie Fisher at the end,
Right.
So it would have had to been announced around that time, 2014, 2015. But again, I'm getting a little off track here. So I've been waiting this for like 10 years for it to be a movie. And then after Solo did what it did, as you mentioned, they were like, no, we're not going to do any more standalone films because we don't want the numbers to come back the way Solo did.
No.
Disney Plus became a thing. The Mandalorian became a thing. The Mandalorian drew in humongous numbers.
Yes.
So they were like, maybe we'll do this as a series. So it was such a joy to cover it, and I get into the season finale this Thursday on Renegades Reviews. Yeah.
I'm glad they did it this way. I'm glad they chose to do it this way. I'm glad they brought Boba Fett back this way because, we all wanted the Boba Fett movie because, like we talked about, the freaking Sarlacc demise was a bitch way out. So, again, I haven't watched the whole series yet. I know you haven't either, but I'm glad they're doing these anthology ideas as series, even limited series, rather than 2-hour movies and try to cram so much in. You go, sensory overload.
Yeah, the only flip side to that is when you do 6 hour long episodes, and you figure this would have been a 2.5 to 3 hour movie. That means there's 3.5 to 3 hours of filler. So there's definitely a lot of stuff from the show that I probably would have cut to make it a movie. But the way that they did it, I was captivated to watch every minute of every episode.
At least
And I
with
may not
this.
have watched every episode on drop day, and especially at drop time, midnight, because, my ass is usually looking at the back of my eyelids at midnight. But usually that day, evening time,
Right.
or the following day,
Right.
I was there watching this.
Yeah. I did watch them at drop, just like I watched Strange New Worlds at drop on Thursday nights, Thursday mornings, I should say. The only one I watched with somebody else that was the one we were talking about Thursday, the finale, because thunderstorms out here woke Dylan up. I was like, come on, hell with it. Let's watch the finale. And Dylan got to see all the emotion from Daddy. That was a trip.
I think the only person that I know is in the chat room that hasn't seen any of this is Cece.
Oh, I know, right?
Because she's been waiting for everything to be dropped and together so she can binge it. So when we had our time this weekend, I was like, okay, it's all available now. Are you going to watch it, or are you going to wait until we can watch it together? And she said that she'd wait a little longer so we could watch it together. I'm
That's
like,
cute as hell. Kind of.
Right.
Partially it's like, damn it, I want to talk about this.
Right. But it is what it is.
Double-edged sword. By the way, she mentioned earlier we were talking about Journey, not to mention Rock's amazing voice and his singing in that sequel, which was, again, Rocky doing Rocky things there. So
hey, it was so good it made it onto my list of top 10 musical moments from non-musical movies.
Unlike, Marty Be Good. Anyway.
That's Bruno. We don't talk about that. All right. So after the Journey series,
dude.
No, you're getting ahead of yourself.
I did?
Yeah, because we had a new release Saturday.
Oh, all right, here. We're just going to do this.
It's one of those days, folks. Jeff.
Go ahead.
Jeff has been kind of...
I've been so busy with cleaning around here and trying to get this show together, my show together. Graphic, yeah, it's... I always forget about Saturdays with you because I'm not here Saturdays except when I'm working. So I don't get a chance to watch, unfortunately.
All right. Anyway. So Saturday, we kept our new release Saturdays going with the brand new... It was a couple weeks old by the time I reviewed it because I always like to give new release movies a couple weeks for people to go see it. That way I'm not giving spoilers about it. Yes, that at the end of the day hurts my ratings because people that watch these movies opening weekend or when they drop on streaming want to talk about it right then.
Right. But
it's so embedded in my nature to give people a couple of weeks. That way there's no spoilers, I think about it like I do, Monday Night Raw and everything. It's like, yeah, East Coast gets it 5 to 8, but all the people posting everything 5 to 8 spoil it for those of us on the West Coast that don't get it till 8. Now I got no reason to watch because I know everything that happens. So I try my darndest not to do that to people that actually want to see this movie. And we all know life happens. Sometimes you can't get to it opening weekend. Sometimes you can't get to it until the following weekend. Maybe you don't want to go and deal with the insanity of going and seeing the brand new Marvel movie on opening weekend. Maybe you want to let the hype die down a little bit where the theaters are going to be a little bit deader. Not me. I'm a glutton for punishment when it comes for those. But, some people, they just get that sensory overload.
Yeah, they do.
So they want the quieter, go to the matinee in the middle of the week when people are at work, kids are at school. Generally, I know we're in summertime. So they've got, that time where it's not going to be packed.
Right.
Anyways, getting out on the weeds. So on Saturday the 4th, I handled the new release film, Rescue Rangers.
Oh.
It was a Disney Plus original film. And it very much harkened back to Who Framed Roger Rabbit for me.
Yes, agreed.
Between the animation and the live action, between the licensing of characters that weren't Disney characters,
Yes.
you know, who would have ever thought that you would see a South Park character in a Disney movie?
Definitely not this guy. Not a chance.
We've seen the South Park version of Mickey Mouse before.
Oh, yes.
But who would have ever thought that you would see a legitimate South Park character in a Disney movie?
No, not even.
Back in 1996 with Space Jam, like that technology was so great. And then you get back to even 88, 89, like I said, with Roger Rabbit, where you had Droopy, Betty Boop, you had the Looney Tunes. For God's sake, you had the Warner Brothers characters, arguably Disney's biggest animated rivals, in the same movie.
At the time, anyway, yes.
And Goofy and everything.
Yeah. Yep. And even then, they were still beefing, because Mickey and Bugs had the same screen time as Daffy and Donald.
Daffy and Donald.
Yep. God, son of a...
The only Warner Brothers character to get his own screen time was Tweety.
Yes. Very true.
It was so good. If you grew up with Roger Rabbit and you enjoyed that movie, and if you grew up in the 90s with the Disney afternoon like we did, go watch the Rescue Rangers film if you haven't already.
Agreed. It's a must-do.
Then we got to Wayne's World and Wayne's World 2.
Okay. I feel better.
This one, okay. I love Wayne's World.
Yes.
This was interesting, though, because I actually had my daughter sit with me to watch the original. And she was legit what the effing the entire time. She just didn't get it.
That's a shame.
And to this day, I don't get what she didn't get. Because they're just two lovable goofballs.
Yes.
They're very much in the same vein of your Bill and Ted.
Right.
They're just two slacker individuals. And I even tried to put it into perspective for her. And please don't be upset by this. But I told her, I was like, it's basically you and me.
Right. Yes. Yep.
One lives at home with his parents. One lives on his own. One drives.
Yes.
They both do a public access show. You figure YouTube is the new public access.
Pretty much.
Instead of going to rock concerts, it's wrestling shows.
Accurate.
Instead of rock and roll tees, it's wrestling tees.
Oh, yes.
But it's very much you and me.
Absolutely.
And then you factor in Rob Lowe, who she was kind of on the kick for because she had just seen Outsiders. Figure Mike Myers is Shrek. So I figured I had all these things going for me. Tia Carrere, Nani and Lilo and Stitch. And I just couldn't hook her. To the point where when I got to part 2, she was like, yeah, no, you on your own for that one.
Oh, I'm sad now at that.
Which, is fine. Part 2 is definitely the weaker of the one.
Well, right.
I feel like they had more star power.
Yeah.
Because you had the Drew Barrymore cameo.
Yep.
You had the Charlton Heston cameo. You had Christopher Walken. You had Kevin Pollak. You had an appearance from Aerosmith at the end. Like, you definitely, I think, had more star power there.
Right.
It was just the weaker film.
I honestly also think Wayne's World 2 was, hey, this worked really well on SNL, and you guys made a great movie out of it. Here's a whole shit ton of money. Can you do another one?
Pretty much.
And it was like, okay, well, we'll put all the money in the guest stars and not worry about the story. It's like, didn't work.
Yeah, no.
Very, very much reminds me of the Family Guy folks doing Star Wars. Like,
Yeah.
but by the second one, they were like, okay, and then the third one, they're like, yeah, we really don't want to do this. Just here, whatever.
Have we really run out of our own characters already?
It's a trap. Yeah.
But I love Wayne's World. I grew up with Wayne's World. You
Yes.
know, I remember getting the soundtrack on CD for the original film, cutting out the little insert inside to mail away for the Wayne's World hat
Nice.
that I owned for years and then got rid of and then got another one.
Yes.
I remember me and my dad putting the CD into the car and just cruising around to Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh yeah. You have to.
As soon as the song was over, you just restart it. For like a
So-
good 30 minutes, we just cruised around playing Bohemian Rhapsody over and over and over again.
So
And imagine this, if you will. My dad with the blonde wig.
I was going to say, Jerry never had the long hair that I know of, so he had to have had a wig on at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Me with my Wayne hat and my long dark hair. My
Yes.
dad with a blonde wig. And us cruising around for like 30 minutes just playing Bohemian Rhapsody over and over again.
There you go.
Let that percolate in your mind.
Yeah. Especially if Cece's still watching. Just imagine Jerry with a long blonde wig, and you'll probably hear her short circuit fall out of her desk chair. What?
Hey, that's another good one we can do down the road. Short Circuit 2.
Oh my
Good
God!
call.
Stop! No. Well, hey, your show. Do what you want.
So before we go to the next duo of movies,
Yes.
I'm going to do the next new release Saturday because that kind of came in between the two of them.
Right.
The next good release Saturday was a film I discovered called Good Morning.
Oh.
And this is one that I really just covered because the cast listing had me hooked. I mean, you had Machine Gun Kelly, you had Dove Cameron, you had Megan Fox, you had just this slew of people. You had cameos from guys like Danny Trejo and Snoop Dogg. And it's definitely one of those movies where the thought process and the heart was in the right place. It just kind of failed in execution.
Yeah, I went and watched it knowing you were going to review it, and I hate you and me for doing it now. It was just like I said, casting looked great on paper, just didn't deliver.
Yeah, and the story, you know, some of the beats of the story were really good. Like the whole point of getting a text message, misunderstanding the text message, you know, it's something we've all done because you can't read tone in a message.
Definitely.
And you know, having a typo, be what kind of set him off.
Yep.
You know, I wish I didn't have to do this via text message. Okay, and now I'm worried.
Right.
And then you come to find out halfway down the road through the movie that it's because she wishes she could tell him good morning face to face every day because she loves being with him so much.
Yep.
It's like I said, the heart was in the right place.
Yeah.
It just wasn't executed as well as it could have been.
No. Agreed. Yeah.
And it's a shame. It's a shame.
Yeah, it was one of those. I've never been the biggest Machine Gun Kelly fan myself.
Me neither. The only song I even like is that song "Invincible"
because
that they used for the Cena Rock match.
Dude, ditto. I was so even back then when I wasn't exactly big on KO. I was like, yes, powerbomb him again through that table, Kevin. But I had high hopes for this, and I was like, So, where are we at here?
So from there, we went to the next duo of films.
Yes.
And we went to the Wild West. No Will Smith here.
That's next
We
week.
talked about Young Guns and Young Guns 2. And this is another one. I saw the sequel first.
Yeah, I remember that one. Yeah.
So I'm definitely more partial to it.
Yep.
The original is the better story. If you really want to get into storytelling, the original is the better story. But part 2 is just freaking hilarious.
Yes.
I
Yes.
always compare this to Emilio's brother. I compare it to Charlie Sheen in Major League and Major League 2. Major League is very much more drama, story driven. You know, it's about the redemption of Jake Taylor, the catcher. Wild Thing is there, but he's not the star yet.
Right.
He's bubbling under, he's breaking out.
Yes.
In the original Young Guns, aside from the whole Murphy Tunstall thing, the focus is really on kind of Doc and the relationship that he's forming with the Asian servant girl of the Murphy clan. Billy's there, but he hasn't really taken over the leadership yet. He's kind of bubbling under until you get towards the end, and Billy kind of snaps and turns into the psychotic, almost Joker-esque character that we get of him in Young Guns 2.
Right.
Then you get to the sequel, Major League 2. Ricky Vaughn is the star. It's all about him. Young Guns 2, it's all about Billy.
Yes.
Both are way more lighthearted. Both are way more comedic in tone. I prefer the sequel with this, and this is a duo that I actually did get Natalie to sit down and watch both of.
Oh, okay.
Primarily because of Emilio, our lovable Gordon Bombay.
Of course.
You know how she is with the ducks.
Yeah, a little bit.
Then you've got Charlie Sheen and Kiefer Sutherland from the Three Musketeers. No Oliver Platt, no Chris O'Donnell, but you got both of them in the first one.
Yes.
Kiefer carrying over to the second one. Then in the second one, you got Alan Ruck, Cameron from Ferris Bueller.
Oh, yeah.
Another object of her affection right now.
Really?
She's a Cameron girl over a Ferris girl.
Don't show our generations from Star Trek. She'll be disappointed in Mr. Ruck.
But I mean, so this one definitely had all the elements, and she prefers the original. Kind of surprised me a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
But, kids do that. They surprise you.
Yes, very much so. Kids, especially our kids.
Yes.
Definitely tend to throw us the proverbial curveball. But I know in between Young Guns and Young Guns 2, there was another Saturday. Was that or
no?
Or was that was Good Morning?
We did Good Morning. We did that before.
Well, in that case,
after Young Guns, though, we went to National Treasure and National Treasure 2: Book of Secrets.
Nice.
Very much a favorite in this house. The head of household here, very much a Nicolas Cage fan.
Yes.
Love these movies. I've always been a fan of these style of movies anyway. These treasure hunt, problem solving, riddle solving, to find the next clue, to get to the treasure at the end. The Lost City with Sandra Bullock, which was a new release that I did. Very much similar vein. Uncharted with Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg.
Yes.
Very much similar vein. You got this. Similar vein. Journey 2, similar vein.
Right.
I get into these type of movies. And then you got Nicolas Cage, not being super weird Nicolas Cage, but actually being like going back to like The Rock and Con Air.
Yes.
And being like that dashing leading man Nicolas Cage.
Yep. Exactly.
And I'm there for it. I can deal with weird goofball, face-off Nicolas Cage in doses. But you really want to sell me on a Nick Cage movie, give me something like this.
Yeah.
And when I discovered what I told you about the original National Treasure and where the scene of Independence Hall was actually filmed,
made my friggin' day.
I'm counting the days until I can get to Buena Park.
Right.
So I can go in there and film a little something there, because that is one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie. when he unravels the Declaration inside of Independence Hall and takes that deep breath, and they're just like, what? And he's all like, the last time it was here, it was being signed. And you just kind of have that moment like, wow.
Whoa, yeah, right?
And then to realize that that was filmed at the Independence Hall of Knott's Berry Farm.
Yeah.
It's like, so that's not that far from us.
No.
That needs to be a thing. We need to make that trip.
And since I know your daughter, at least I remember your daughter, Natalie, loving these movies, or at least the first one. I remember watching.
I know she's seen the first one. I'm not sure if she's seen the sequel.
Well, that actually works perfectly to my explanation here. If we can, we need to get both children's on that trip.
Oh, yeah.
Because Dylan, as much as history's boring, it's like, no, dude, you don't understand. It's not at all. And I have the proof on Disney Plus right there. The proof is in the pudding.
I will give him the fact that a lot of history can be boring, but it's all about the way it's taught.
Yep.
You know, you want to sit me in a high school history class and try to tell me, you know, about all these things that happened, I'm bored. You want to show me, you know, Schoolhouse Rocks or some kind of movie with historical value like this.
Right.
Or like the first time I ever saw Roots was in a Black history class in high school.
Right.
They showed us the entire saga over the course of like a week and a half.
That's heavy stuff there.
You know, things like that. Things like Born on the 4th of July.
Yes.
You know, you want to show me some history stuff. Let's at least make it fun, make it engaging, present it in a way. We Didn't Start the Fire by Billy Joel is a hell of a 3-minute history lesson.
Yes. It's one of those, you know, but before the podcasting thing really took off for me, and even then it only really took off really for me about 3 years ago. But when I started doing this 20 years ago, before that I was in school, you know, higher education to be a history teacher in high school. So I was having to learn how to, you know, learn about these things all over again, but also trying to develop my own techniques. And being a tutor when I actually was told I, you know, made it more engaging, you know, just, you know, having small lessons. I always wanted that big classroom feel because U.S. history especially has always been such a cool thing for me. This period of history and the Civil War especially. So, you know, I mean, I'd love to hear your review of Gettysburg if you haven't already done it. If you have, I'll go back and watch. But man, Gettysburg is the business.
I have not done it yet, but it's definitely something we can look at down the road.
Having been to Gettysburg and standing there, it was just like, so anything about that time, anything about U.S. history, you've got me as a viewer, as a collaborator, whatever you want to do. It's good stuff.
There we go. So after National Treasure movies, before we go into the next duo, we had another Saturday one.
Yes.
And it was the movie White Elephant.
Yes.
This is another one that I watched for the cast listing because, I mean, just the 3 male stars alone. You have Michael Rooker, who's Mary Poppins, y'all. You had Bruce Willis, and you had John Malkovich.
Yes.
And then you had, and forgive me, I'm probably going to botch her last name, Olga Kurilenko, I think is how you say it.
Close enough for them to know who it is.
Taskmaster in the Black Widow movie.
Right.
So the primary cast here was out freaking standing. And while the movie wasn't as great as I had hoped, it definitely was better than the previous Saturday.
Yes.
It's definitely one that I recommend looking into, and it was distributed by, if I'm remembering correctly, RLJE Films, which is a frequent company that I see pop up at Dollar Tree.
Right.
So I would not be surprised if by the end of the year, beginning of next, I'm seeing this movie at Dollar Tree for sale.
Right.
So just keep your eyes peeled, folks. Those of you that know about Dollar Tree, know about the movies at Dollar Tree, keep your eyes peeled when you go in there and they put new movies out there. You might end up finding White Elephant. Pick it up for the buck and the quarter.
Right?
It's definitely worth it.
Yes.
It's still cheaper than you would pay to rent it on Vudu, rent it on one of the streaming sites. It's cheaper than you'd pay to rent it at the Redbox.
Yeah. It's not cheaper than going to see it.
You know, well, it only had a limited theatrical run for like a week or two, but you know, because I think they knew it wasn't going to be a huge movie. It's the same with Good Morning. It had like a limited theatrical run,
right?
But it wasn't in theaters long enough for me to get to it and see it.
Right.
You figure I covered it 2 weeks after its release.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Olga was the lady that played Rita Repulsa in the much maligned reboot of Power Rangers, correct? Or am I thinking of a different person?
I think you're thinking of a different person. I am not positive, though.
Because I thought we talked about that when we were getting reviewed, is why I was asking. So, okay, I'm never mind. What? Talk about earlier.
I mean, you could be right, and I'm just forgetting. But
all good. Either way,
I'm not that familiar with her, so
gotcha. All right, now on to the next.
White Elephant, we went to the video game turned theatrical film,
gotcha.
Mortal Kombat and Mortal Kombat Annihilation. And one of these movies became chicken salad, and the other one became chicken shit.
Remained chicken shit. Yes. Oof.
I mean, the original Mortal Kombat is such a classic. Like, all the way up until the Pokemon movie, it was the highest grossing video game turned movie that there was.
Yes.
And you figure there had been the Super Mario movie, Double Dragon, Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat Annihilation. Like, there had been quite a few that had come out. And Mortal Kombat was the highest grossing.
Yeah.
And then the Pokemon movie came out and just shattered that. As Pokemon did at the time.
Yes.
But the original Mortal Kombat is still so good, even with its cheesiness. I mean, the cast alone, you got Christopher Lambert as Raiden. And just for a little tongue-in-cheek humor here, and I told Cece about this, so she already knows this. Christopher Lambert, of course, was the Highlander in the Highlander movies.
Yes.
Okay. They actually offered Raiden to Sean Connery.
Oh, geez.
Who was in the original Highlander as well.
Right.
So when Sean Connery turned it down, they moved on to Lambert.
Right.
Then you had Bridget Wilson, who had been in Last Action Hero. Yeah, and she did all her own stunts.
Right?
She did her own fight scenes, her own stunts. I'm like, you go, girl.
Right.
Such a good cast. And then you go to Mortal Kombat Annihilation.
I saw that CC thanks. Yeah, it's
where basically nobody came back except for two characters. And when you figure that the best part of Mortal Kombat Annihilation, and I'm seriously not joking, y'all, the best part of Mortal Kombat Annihilation is the fact that Ray Park, a.k.a. Darth Maul, a.k.a. Toad, is the stunt double for Raiden.
Yes.
And you can actually see his face in the fight scenes because the editing is so horrible.
Accurate. Yeah, it was like they took 60s era stunt fighting filming and applied it to a 90s movie. It was like, okay. You can tell that's not William Shatner.
Pretty much.
Oh my God. So bad. So bad on every front. I was so disappointed.
So we're going to do the next Saturday one here real quick because we did Friday, Monday.
Right.
So let's... The last Saturday new release that we did this month was a movie called Hustle. which was on a Netflix original that I discovered.
Yes.
Adam Sandler, Robert Duvall, and Queen Latifah as your main stars, along with a slew of both past and present NBA stars.
Right?
You know, guys that I have no knowledge about because I don't watch. But then I'm watching and you see like Dr. J, Julius Erving, you see Allen Iverson, you see Shaquille O'Neal, Charles Barkley. I'm like, okay, these guys I know because that's from the era either before I watched, like Dr. J, or that I watched.
Yeah. Mainstream awareness also is a beautiful thing with those guys.
But the guys that are actually, you know, current, like I had no idea who those guys were.
Yeah.
But it was such a good movie. It was a serious Sandler movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I've been noticing in his later career, he's been doing that a little bit more. Doing a little bit more of the serious and not so much of the slapsticky. I mean, he still knows where his wheelhouse is.
Yes.
When he wants to get his buddies together, you know, Kevin James, Chris Rock, David Spade, etc. He knows where that bread is. But I've noticed that he's been doing a little bit more of the serious stuff, and I commend him for that. It's definitely difficult to step out of your wheelhouse.
Always is. It really is.
Which brings us to the last official set of movies that I have covered. Kick-Ass and Kick-Ass 2.
Kick-Ass.
And again, you know, the first one, we've got Nicolas Cage as Big Daddy in his knockoff Batman outfit. And then basically replacing him in the sequel, we've got Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
Can we really go wrong with either of these two gentlemen?
That would be a no.
Then you got Chloe Grace Moretz literally growing up in front of our eyes.
Yeah, that
like you can barely see her in the first picture.
Yeah. I can see if I can zoom in here a little bit.
Like she's literally right next to the K. You can barely see her head there.
There you go.
Like, that's Darby from My Friends Tigger and Pooh, y'all. Like,
right? What the shit?
Then you've got Christopher Mintz-Plasse, McLovin from Superbad. And then in the role of Kick-Ass, you've got Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yes.
Who would be Quicksilver in the MCU. But then you've got Evan Peters as his best friend who plays Quicksilver in the Fox universe. You want to talk about a multiverse being open, how you got two Quicksilvers in the same movie before they become Quicksilver.
And it still wasn't Scorpio Sky's partner, Quicksilver, which is even weirder.
Right.
No, you know.
These are just fun romps, you know? I mean...
Yes.
When we were younger, granted, I wasn't a huge comic book geek like I know some people were, like the kid in Kick-Ass is.
Right.
But we all go through that phase where we want to be a superhero.
Of course.
For Halloween, we're dressing up as Superman, as Batman, as Captain America, as whoever. There's that phase where we all want to be a superhero. Some of us dressed up more like Jedis than we did superheroes, but Jedis are still superheroes too. I defy you to tell me otherwise. Their special power is the Force.
And some of us just like Sith, which, you know, that's not exactly him.
I've done that too, but
yeah,
you know,
I digress. I digress.
So to see this kid who all he wanted to do when he grew up was be a superhero, and then to live that fantasy,
right,
and become good at it.
Yeah,
it's such a cool little story.
I think the only way they could have cast a better Batman, the Batman parody, is if they had that guy from the Badman bits. Because that guy hit the voice spot on, and he was so good at being a parody of the Bat, the Dark Knight, that it would have been like a great little inside ha-ha to people who actually know about the Batman.
The only way it would have been better is if they had cast Rick Ellis instead of Nicolas Cage, and if you know, you know.
We're going to move on to the next movie because damn.
And then that brings me to what we'll be discussing tomorrow. Double feature day.
Double feature.
CC's most favoritist movies in the world. Top Gun and its sequel, Top Gun 2. And you know I'm kidding with you, babe, so don't blow up the comment section.
Well, you know she's going to now. You said that. So anyway, so of
But
course,
yeah, man,
Top Gun's
getting ready
first.
to
Yeah.
go back and revisit Top Gun, you know, and little, you know, spoiler alert. I mentioned this on the show. Going back in and revisiting Top Gun, I remembered it being like a bunch of moments.
Yeah.
And then filler in between moments.
Right.
Going back and rewatching it, man, I can kind of see what my mom was all into about this movie. Like, and not just how hot the guys were.
Of course.
But you got to figure she worked at Boeing for years, so she's got that love of the airplanes and everything. This was an awesome movie, and I don't think I realized how awesome it was until I got to that age where I could appreciate the military factor behind it.
Right.
You know, because as a kid, that kind of stuff kind of goes over your head.
Yeah, it does.
You know, you see this hotshot pilot falling in love. It's like, ew. Bleh. You know, you got the Berlin song, Take My Breath Away, underscoring it. Just a little bit too much.
Yes.
Half-naked guys on the beach playing volleyball. It's like, what do I want to watch this crap for?
Right.
But then you get older and, you know, granted, I never served in the military, you know. Right. My medical condition with epilepsy pretty much kept me out.
Definitely, yes.
But you get to the age that I'm at now, that you're at now, and you have a fonder respect for the military, and then you see and watch it from that aspect, and you watch the naval fighters going out there and having to fly this mission and defeat the bad guys after all this training and earning each other's respect. It was like, okay, you know what? This is a lot better than I thought it was.
Right.
Which brings us right into the sequel and how they pick up that story 36 years later. And, you know, again, little spoiler for those of you that have already seen the movie. Maverick basically could have been promoted like 100 times over, but he always keeps denying the promotion because he wants to fly.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to be grounded. He doesn't want to be at a desk.
Right.
His life is in the air, man.
Yep.
And it's almost, you know, Mickey Rourke, the wrestler-esque.
I was
in not knowing when it's time to step back.
Yep. I was just liking it to, surprisingly not the rest, I was going to liken it to Star Trek. We talked about Generation earlier with Alan Ruck. The entire theme of that seventh movie where they're transitioning from the original guard to the next generation is the line from Kirk. He says, Captain of the Enterprise, huh? Yes. Retiring soon? Not anytime soon. He goes, let me tell you something. Don't let them promote you. Don't let them do anything that takes you out of that chair, because while you're there, you can make a difference. Don't go into the desk, because Kirk did go into the desk in between the series and the movies, and he was sitting there spinning his wheels until Khan, brought him back into action and, killed his best friend in the process. So, yeah, freaking idle hands and idle bodies are a dangerous thing, especially for people like Maverick, people like Captain Kirk, people like Randy the Ram Robinson, man. You can't ever be idle, because being idle is what ultimately will kill you with that kind of personality. I totally understand that. I get it. I do. So
that, wow, we went a lot longer than I thought we would recapping the month. Well,
me being here doesn't help that ever. So
no, but it's always good to get that other opinion of things, yes. Especially since my return, you haven't joined me on an episode.
This is true.
But you have been watching everything that yes. I've been covering. So it's nice to get that feedback on what it is that I covered. Let's go ahead and throw to the trailer now of what is to come next month.
Yes.
So there we go. That is a look at what is to come this coming month, the month of July, over on the Casa D18 Studios and Renegades reviews. Getting back into the Renaissance, man. Last year, we did everything from Snow White all the way up to The Rescuers Down Under was the last movie we covered.
Yep.
So we barely started to dip our toes into the Renaissance because we got
That's
The
right.
Rescuers Down Under and we got The Little Mermaid.
Yep.
Now we're just picking that ball up. It's been laying dormant for a year.
Yep.
We're running all the way down for that touchdown, man.
And for everybody out there, why do you pick July for Disney month again?
Because it's the month where Disneyland opened.
There you go.
Yeah, cool. We only did it in June last year because I had to go to Missouri for my grandmother's funeral.
Yeah.
And I had already watched and had like almost half of the movies for Disney month written.
Right.
So it was just very easy for me to go in, can all of those and have them edited, uploaded so that when I went for the funeral, I didn't have to worry about uploading, doing anything.
Yep.
And then it all worked out at the end because we did July was Marvel month. So we started the MCU with Captain America, the First Avenger on the 4th of July.
Yeah, it worked out perfectly. It really did.
Couldn't get much better than that.
Nope.
But yeah, so July is Disney month. And like I say, we're picking up with Beauty and the Beast. Now we got Beauty and the Beast. We've got Aladdin. We've got Lion King. We've got a Goofy movie. All of the heavy hitters coming this month, as you guys saw in the trailer.
Yes.
And for those of you wondering why I do the Disney trailer the way I do, I want to give it the feel of you popping in the old VHSs.
Yeah, oh yeah.
And the way you'd get the little bit of static, and then maybe you'd get the little signal bars before it started giving you the trailers of what was to come for Disney.
Yep.
Before getting to your feature presentation. Yep. Me and Jeff grew up with that. I know Cece grew up with that. You know, Jeff and his 2,500 copies of Pinocchio had that, you know. So for those of us that grew up in the VHS era, it's a throwback. It's a little Easter egg, a little touch.
Yes.
In this modern digital age, to make it still feel like, man, we're watching those 80s VHSs.
It's a good touch. I love it.
That's why I do it that way. And then obviously, if we tried to use the actual Disney audio, we'd get pinged big time. So I found a song that just gives you that Disney vibe to it.
Yes. Yes. I will say this. I actually found the original clamshell copy of Pinocchio after my restriction had been lifted after the third buy previously. I still have it. Bring it out of the drawer. You know what this is? And my dad goes, Pinocchio. I said, yeah, but do you know what it is? He goes, are you shitting me? I said, no. He goes, you still have it? Yep. That is going to be in a shrine. It's going into the ground with me. I swear to God, because we're going to keep that till the end of time. Because I have yet to wear that tape out, damn it. And it'll be 30 years next year. So I went through 3 in a year, and I made the other one last 30, damn it. So
there you go.
But
let me ask you this: out of everything that is coming this month,
oh man,
let's not count the new release Saturdays, which you're privy to.
Yes.
Which movie are you most interested in, looking forward to getting to see me cover? And Cece, since you're pretty much the only one in the chat room, feel free to chime in also.
Well, everybody's talking about wrestling tonight, unfortunately. Definitely this one. I love this one, The Beast, Beauty and the Beast. I always have. Aladdin, of course, is special to all of us in the group. And there you go. Aladdin's even special to the people you live with right now. So that's definitely a cool thing to have there. Big G's coming in with 2 minutes to go. I gotta love you, Big G. We appreciate that. Yeah. I think he was on the No DQ predictions. That's why he's here now. Thanks for stopping by, Jim. We appreciate you coming in. at the end.
Exactly. Thank you, G.
Yeah, definitely those two. I honestly am looking forward to hearing your thoughts on Fantasia 2000.
Okay.
I'm really curious what you have to say about that one, because there's definitely a mixed bag amongst our generation about Fantasia. Excuse me. It's Phantasmic. Wow.
Phantasmic on the brain?
I'm not trained or anything. Don't mind me. Fantasia 2000 definitely was a mixed bag when it was released, because the only one they kept was The Sorcerer's Apprentice. So, curious on your thoughts on that one, and definitely the later ones that really didn't get a lot of love. Tigger movie didn't get a whole lot of press from, at least from my end of things as a kid. When it was released, I'm much older than that now, unfortunately. But some of the ones toward the end of the month, I'm very curious about watching again for the first time in a long time, and then hearing your thoughts. So it'll be an interesting experience for sure this month.
I think the one that I'm most looking forward to is the one from the Renaissance period that I still haven't seen all the way through, and that's Hercules.
That's right. I haven't seen Hercules yet. That's right.
I've seen I started it,
right,
and I probably made it a good 20 or 30 minutes through.
Yeah.
But I haven't seen it start to finish.
Right.
So I'm really looking forward to that. And then the other one I'm really looking forward to watching with the purpose of reviewing is Hunchback.
Yes.
Considering that last year I did the Chaney Hunchback, the real Hunchback for Halloween.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to getting into this.
Yes.
And reviewing this version of Hunchback.
Yes. I also am very much looking forward to, hopefully before you review it on Saturday, going to see that.
Yes. Go ahead and throw that one up there.
I'm working on it.
Yes, Lightyear. That was so good. Like I said, every time I've mentioned it with this image up, minus the toys, that was me and Cece in the theater.
Yes. Little sparkle of tear in the eye. Yeah.
Drink in hand, expression on face, wide-eyed, just watching this movie and the story of who Buzz Lightyear was come to life.
Yes. So
if you grew up with Toy Story, if you know somebody that grew up with Toy Story, and if that is not your reaction walking in and starting this movie, I don't know what is wrong with you. Because as soon as the movie started, I was like squeezing her hand like, oh crap, here we go, here we go, here we go.
Right. So Big G has a good comment. They actually talked about it this morning on social media, and we're getting into the 5 o'clock hour here, but that's okay. Hocus Pocus 2 was officially given a date today.
Yes.
So
it is already pre-booked in my calendar for the month of October.
There you go.
I'm figuring to do the entire Elm Street saga,
so
the entire Scream saga, and the entire Halloween saga. And then in the midst, in order to break those up, I have Addams Family Values, Hocus Pocus 2.
Nice. I dig it.
Granted, movies with only one sequel that I definitely could throw in for another month, but it's like, it's October.
They belong.
Gotta have something spooky.
Yeah. So
I've got those thrown in there to kind of buffer. You go from the horror of Freddy Krueger to Gomez and Morticia.
Yes.
You go from the horror of Ghostface to Hocus Pocus and the Sanderson sisters.
Very true.
And then you go straight into the Halloween franchise to end on Halloween night with Halloween Ends. The end of the month, the end of the franchise, the movie that says ends in it.
So he's actually going to voluntarily watch the Rob Zombie movies for work purposes. That's frightening.
Yes, I am.
Yes. Now, let me ask you this. There are officially, oh God, even official counts crazy now. Are you going to include Haddonfield Nightmare in that group?
I very much am.
Attaboy. There you go.
As a matter of fact, since you're mentioning it, give me just uno momento. We've already gone a little bit over.
That's
so
okay.
It's not going to be that big a deal.
I'm going to watch NXT for real after I go off the air and talk wrestling night anyway, so it really doesn't matter. I don't worry about catching it now anyhow.
So, yeah.
Should be good, though. Should be interesting to see you cover all those.
Share screen.
Let me go ahead and turn my share screen off, and so it'll be a little easier on my output, if you will. Ooh, look at you with the calendar all ready to go. Is this ready to go?
Yep, this is October.
Okay.
So I don't know if I can zoom in on it anymore, but you might be able to zoom in some. Yes.
Well, no, because
okay,
so,
that's as big as it. So I know the print's a little bit small, guys.
Yeah.
Bear with me, but if you go there to Saturday the 1st, you see Nightmare on Elm Street 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The reboot.
Yes.
Then you go to Addams Family Values on the 9th and 10th.
Yep.
Then Scream 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Yes.
And Hocus Pocus 2 on the 16th, 17th. And you got Halloween 2. You've got Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Return of Michael Myers, Revenge of Michael Myers, Curse of Michael Myers, H2O, Haddonfield Nightmare, Resurrection,
Ooh,
Rob Zombie 2, Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends.
Nice, dude. Great planning. I like it. I dig it. Big G, I will message you off air. It's on YouTube for free, for the record.
Yes.
We just have copies because I put in on the Indiegogo and
yeah, you basically joined the Kickstarter, the crowdfunder, if you will.
Yes.
And was able to get copies of the Blu-ray, which he kept one, and then he gifted me the other one, which again I thank you for.
Yes, I'm trying to find out.
The entire movie, G, is on Blu-ray. Just look up the Haddonfield Nightmare.
Yep, on YouTube. Yep.
And it's right there in its entirety.
Yeah,
as well as what's the other one? The one that goes between 1 and 2?
Well, that's a short film, but it's called "You Can't Kill the Boogeyman." And like I told Dylan and everybody, not my Dylan, but the filmmaker Dylan, everybody that was involved in that really inserts very well into between 78 and 81, or in between 78 and the reboots in 2018, because he just. I'm going to give you the end away of the short film, but yeah, I definitely recommend it if you're going to do a Halloween, if you're going to go, if you're going to go blade deep, if you will, go ahead and watch that short film too. It's called "You Can't Kill the Boogeyman." It's on Dark Crown Films YouTube channel, and they've already got hundreds of thousands of views already. So they're stoked. Braden's got, a shit ton of views on Nightmare. So both those are doing so very well with the Halloween fan base. And, we joke, haha, about, halfway to Halloween not too long ago. And it's like, now we're halfway to the holidays because we had that over the weekend with freaking Santa and his helpers being at the Angel game yesterday, or whatever it was. So we're getting closer than we think to the truly most wonderful time of the year, which starts October 1st, really, if you really want to be accurate about it. So
No. I give my respect to the people that love the spooky season.
Yes.
Our good friend Dee Dee would slit our throats.
Oh, definitely.
If we tried to get rid of Halloween, go you one better. She'd gut us like a tauntaun. But November 1st, man, just like that David Krumholtz meme, October 31st, from the end of Addams Family Values, November 1st, Bernard.
Fair enough.
That's the way it goes for me. November 1st is Christmas season.
Well,
what about Thanksgiving? It's a day.
It's one day, and if you really look back historically, should we really be celebrating that? Really?
Probably not.
Probably not. We got rid of Columbus Day for similar reasons, folks. Come on, just saying.
I am looking forward to the Santa Clauses. From what I know, I do have some high hopes. And much like Game Changers, if certain characters don't come back for at least an episode or two, I'm going to end up being disappointed.
Yep.
At some point during the series, there has to be Neil,
Yep.
Lucy, Charlie. Forgive me for getting his first wife's name. Laura, thank you.
No worries.
They all have to be there at some point.
Agreed.
Bernard would be a plus.
Yes.
Considering he didn't come back from 3, I'm not going to hold him responsible for not coming back for the series.
Right.
But that would be a plus.
Yeah.
Curtis.
Yes.
Mother Nature. The Easter Bunny. Sandy.
Yes.
You know, Jack Frost would be cool to make an appearance now that his heart has been thawed.
Yes.
You know, we can't have the Molinator, the Tooth Fairy. Unfortunately, we lost him last year.
Now that's CGI anyway, freaking Star Wars style.
But, you know.
Him or Father Time / also, if you really pay attention, kids, Father Time from 2 and 3 is actually Scott's boss in the first one.
Natalie pointed something out to me. She says there is a theory that he was Father Time all along, and by portraying his boss, he set Scott on the path to become.
Well, figure that whole meeting where Scott has this epiphany about the toys and how they're being marketed is very much driven by Peter Doyle. So, because he's sitting there like, can we get on with this? And it's like, almost if he's rushing time. So, very well could be. But yeah, I have heard confirmed that Elizabeth Mitchell is coming back as Carol.
As Carol.
Carol, yeah, God.
Those are the only 2 that I know are coming back, though, are Tim and her.
Well, that would make sense for now, at least.
So, but we've got to get somewhere where the others come in.
Well,
there's got to be a way, you know, and I still hold out hope that Charlie's going to be the one to take over the family business.
Well, I think that's how it should be. My one reservation with bringing back anybody, and this is not a slight on her or the job she did in the movies or the work she's done since then. The young lady that played Lucy can't exactly play cute little wholesome Lucy no more. So how do you reconcile the need for that character when that character cannot be portrayed by the same actress? Because, goddamn. That's all I have to say about her current appearance.
Whether they grow up to be immense hotties or not, it's all about the chemistry and the way they portray. She still very much can convey the innocence of Lucy, despite what she may look like these days.
Well, no, I'm not trying to say she can't do it as an actress. My thing is, Lucy was very, and again, this is just my observation as a diehard fan of these movies, is Lucy was brought in as the innocence foil because the actor that played Charlie had grown so much in those 8 years that they really couldn't pull that off with him, number one. And number two, the story was much better driven by him already knowledgeable of the secret, but the Lucy character kind of unsure about it, but being smart enough to know, one day I'll be 7, then I can know things. It's just such a cute little throwaway line, but it worked so well with the Curtis character and everything. So I don't know, unless they have, Charlie's kid or they have Lucy's kid or whatever, then we can still get her back. But the actual innocence of the character based on her knowledge of what's going on around her would be lost with, again, I'm sorry, Lily, I don't remember your last name, but yeah, it would definitely have to be some sort of a cast shuffling at least. Not recasting, don't want to do that, but a shuffle to be sure. From what I heard, Cal Penn's character is supposed to take over. Which one was he again?
He's one of the new characters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, see, that's where I have problems.
Yeah.
It's got to stay in the family.
Has to.
If Charlie denounces it and doesn't want to do it, that's fine, but we need an episode explaining that to make us okay with him not continuing the legacy of his father.
Yeah, we need an on-screen why Charlie's not doing this. That goes without saying. And it's too easy to hand it down to Buddy Claus. That's too easy. Because and
I don't even see Buddy Claus in the casting. Like, unless they've changed his name,
right?
There is no Bud Claus. There's other kids that Scott and Carol have now had.
Oh, jeez.
So it's like, where's Buddy Claus?
Yeah, I wonder if they did away with the name because it was so close to Buddy the Elf, and there was maybe strife with the two studios. Disney don't give a shit, but the other studio might have. So, anyway, there you go.
See,
lots of stuff going on here that making it more like they better hit a home run with the premiere episode.
Seriously.
Anyway, we're getting cynical about Santa. I don't like the way this is going.
Yeah. If we want to be cynical about Santa, we'll just watch Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, right, Jeff?
Santa's a dick in that movie.
And with that,
and if you know, you know.
We're going to go ahead and wrap it up here because NXT is 15 minutes in, I believe.
Damn near, yes.
And I do want to see tonight's NXT as it'll be the hype up for the Great American Bash, which as of me talking right now, I know there's only one match announced.
Right.
So they have a whole card they've got to put together tonight.
Yeah, pretty much.
Should be good though.
Yes. But and then I'll be back here in a couple hours for here because we're on the Costa channel right now, but NoDQ.com. Oh, actually, I won't be here. I take that back. I'll be here. I'll be on NoDQ. I'll be on the Great Cherry Brand. I'll be in, of course, the Championship.
I just won't be alongside you.
No, it'll
just be in the chat room like CC and G are putting comments up.
I did the wrong thing. It'll be one of these things at 7:00, but that's okay. For now, we will leave it as it should be, which is this is Renegades recap. And again, looking forward to July because Disney's always a favorite for me. So
yeah, I seriously need to get cranking on filming some of these. Hopefully, I can get some of that going tomorrow because I've received a message that dinner is ready. So need to head down for that.
So
yeah, you need some num-nums before you go on the air, or else we're going to have hangry, angry Jeff.
Well, I'm making my own num-nums, and I've got my plant-based burgers to make tonight, so I'm looking forward to it. So
thank you to everyone, all two of you guys that I know of that tuned in today and participated in the chat room. CC, love you. Thank you for coming in and joining us as you always do. Big G, thank you for coming over as soon as the prediction show was over. Hopefully I'll be on the review this Thursday. Still waiting for confirmation on that.
That should go out tomorrow.
For the West Coast Professor Jeff Meacham, I am the Renegade JJ Williams. Thank you for joining me on the recap. See you tomorrow for the Top Gun double feature, and we will catch you guys next time.